Auspicia regis et senatus Anglia. Latin for by command of the King and Parliament of England. You know my image as Christopher Columbus. This image might not be accurate for the reason being that Europeans like whitewashing. I did not discover anything because millions of your Aboriginal people were inhabitants of the lands when I got there. Did you know that I lied? There is no such thing as Indian in the Western Hemisphere. Did you know that the word Indian is a misnomer for the people in both Eastern and Western Hemispheres? Listen closely because Aborigine people in the Americas think they are Indian when this is not them. This label is a misnomer imposed on the Aboriginal Indigenous peoples in the lands now called America. The derivative word, Jambutwipa, was the historical term for place called India in many Southeast Asian countries before the introduction of the English word India. I repeat, the introduced English word, India. 13th century word Indian is an adjective in the English language describing an inhabitant of India or South Asia. Pertaining to India, the common 16th century Old English adjective was Indisc and Indish. It was not until 1553 that we Europeans applied the Latin word indianus, from India to the Aboriginal native inhabitants of the Americas, reflecting our Spanish and Portuguese European use, on the mistaken notion that America was the eastern end of Asia. It was not until 1831 in British English that we used Red Indian, to distinguish the Native Americans from inhabitants of India. 1831 in British English, but was not commonly used in North America.
People falsely branded Indian does not come from the word indigo. Contrary to what most Aboriginals have been told in the Western Hemisphere, especially among those that have experienced an identity crisis, the people with the Indian misnomer does not come from the word indigo, as if to identify as black people, or blackamoors, etc. Some Aboriginal people at North America want to believe that they are Indian because they trust the ones who are giving them this misinformation, or some seek the benefits in identifying as such, or both. For one, Indians are not taxed, as enumerated in the colonizers' constitutions of and for the United States of America's corporate charters. While indigo traces its roots to India subcontinent, Central Asia south of the Himalayas, the people speak about 180 languages, and more than 700 dialects. We Aboriginals did not call the place India or ourselves Indian. The official language is Hindi, and the name of the place in Portuguese is Ilha do Jambu, or Jambudweep. Today the official name of the place is Bharat. See Part 1 of the Constitution. Indigo is a deep blue dye used to color cotton and wool. It's also called indigo tin, a crystalline compound. In past times, this dye was taken from the indigo plant, a member of the pea family that grows chiefly in India. The name of indigo is a form of the English word. I repeat, the English word, India. See World Book Encyclopedia, Book 10. Cultivation knowledge of the indigo plant was carried to parts of North America under the United States corporate colonies of South Carolina Colony and Georgia Colony around the 1740s and 50s. The profits from indigo outpaced those of sugar and cotton. Quote, indigo was more powerful than the gun. At the time of the American Revolution, the dollar had no strength, and indigo cakes were used as currency. End quote. Source: Indigo in Search of the Color That Seduced the World by Catherine E. McKinley. What best describes the first people who are innately of naturally originated in a swarthy complexions, is Aboriginal, Indigenous and Native, not Indian. You, nor am I the colonizers of Indian.
This should tell any Aboriginal people in the Americas, and the rest of the world that all of you are not Indian. I repeat, you are not Indian because as colonizers, we made up that label for our use to refer to you. Later for our offspring. We pale-faced foreign European colonizers paid $5 apiece for falsified documents declaring ourselves native Indians on the 1893 Dawes Commission rolls to enforce the General Allotment Act of 1877, or the Dawes Act. We used this as another land theft tactic worldwide to steal Aborigine birthright lands. because of our deception in creating the Dawes Act, and for this very reason of the Dawes Act. Indians have pale faces and look European like this instead of the real Aborigines with beautiful dark copper complexions. My. I am rolling over in my grave for the wrong I have done. The world is devastated and really put in hell. I repeat. The Aborigine people are not Indian because Indian it is a misnomer label that we imposed. Like Negro, Black, Latino, African American, Red Man, Colored, etc., in accord with the Pope's papal bull decree or command, and carried out by his kings or presidents. Look at Australia, Africa, and North, Central and South Americas. We now call ourselves Australians, Africans, and Americans because we have created Indian, and then claimed it as if we are native to the land. Then kicking you out of the identity because Indian is actually European. All in order to make it easier to steal the land in accord with the 1213 Secret Treaty of Verona, the 1302 Unarmed Sanctum Papal Bull, and all subsequent papal bulls under the doctrine of discovery.
If you still choose to identify by the European colonizers' Indian definition of you, then you will fall within the Europeans' construct under their colonial imperialist system of control through their treaties, constitutions, and contracts under their so-called democracy order. In other words, under their bloody domineering mob rule by force of arms, because they are the creators of the Indian misnomer. Instead, all Aboriginal Indigenous native peoples of Earth must, I repeat, must, return to what and whom we defined ourselves to be in our own native tongues, and live free while on this physical plane of existence. It is our choice, this collective divine movement of just being ourselves, just being who we are, and not what the colonizers say we are, means the end of colonization, and the colonizers' descendants must stop imprisoning, controlling, and killing our people, and leave our lands forever.